All right, so the thing that happened with the Obama's dog, I think, is pretty exemplary of really just how dogs bring out the worst in people. I'm mainly referring to people's reaction to it online. So what you've seen has been, what I've observed, has been people going off on the bratty teenage girl because she made a mistake. You shouldn't hug dogs. You shouldn't kiss them, particularly if you don't know them, right? But she left some shitty, like, cunty Instagram or tweet thing, like, yeah, I hate the dog, and she was all nasty about it. Well, guess what? She's 18, and she's a teenage girl. Have you ever met a teenage girl you liked that was, like, kind of sage and worldly? Because I haven't. Okay, great. She can vote, and she can go in the military. She's still a fucking idiot. I mean, she's a kid. I was a fucking idiot at that age, you know? So, people are just going after this little girl. And mostly, my social media, which I have a light presence on anyway, intentionally, it's skewed toward the animal bullshit. And, dog people are nuts. They're like they're the worst, typically. So they're all like scapegoating this girl. Now, look, there's a teaching moment here, okay? And it's, you don't hug and kiss dogs. You're kind of hovering over them. If you look at dogs, when they mount each other, especially the face, it's similar to a hug. It's almost like, and that's a form of dominance. You're also, common sense, you're exposing your face to their face. And people need to stop assuming that dogs won't bite them, okay? Horses kick, cats scratch, dogs bite. It's what they do. Fish swim. So people need to, I think it also represents how people just don't understand what dogs are. They think they're these big teddy bear fluffy animals. No, they're carnivorous predators. Now, a lot of them have had juvenile traits deliberately bred into them, so they're hyper docile. I would say unnaturally docile, certain breeds. And they think, oh, I just don't want to worry. And that's the real problem here, is people's conception of dogs. And a lot of, you observe is, it's really bad out in the suburbs, I think, with a lot of families. And the Obamas, I think, probably are pretty good exemplars of what I'm talking about. And people just think, oh, I want to have an easy dog who I don't have to worry with the kids, and he won't bite anyone, and, he's not one of those aggressive types of dogs. Well, a dog, because dogs and wolves are the same species, okay? Dogs are just domesticated wolves. They're genetically identical to juvenile wolves. So we have wolves living in our homes, and we treat them like babies. And then when they bite our babies, we don't understand why. We don't get it. And I think that's because we have a misconception of what dogs actually are. They're carnivorous predators. They evolved in hierarchies. We should stop assuming that they won't bite us if we don't respect and understand them for what they are. And the other issue is there was a clear lack of obedience with these dogs from the beginning. And I can tell that because there are pictures all over the internet where it's like, haha, it's so cute. Bo's at the end of President Obama's leash. Look at the dog's leading the master, haha. And you see the same bullshit on the Upper West Side, with people with their fucking golden doodles. And, oh, that's so funny. The dog runs the show. No, it's not funny. And this is the type of shit that happens. And I don't care if you own a golden or a lab. It can happen. My younger brother got bit horribly by a chocolate lab when he was a kid. It was over a resource, of course. It was over the dog's ball. And people don't understand. If you don't understand hierarchy and you don't think that dominance is a real thing, you'll never understand that dogs fight over resources, okay? And that the dominant, player in the game, he's gonna have the first right to discipline, and he's gonna discipline whoever tries to take away his resources. And this is why kids get bit all the time. But we refuse to look at them for what they are, and we refuse to provide them with the obedience that's going to make them understand that they are not at the top of the hierarchy. And really, this should not need explaining, because they can't, regardless of theory and all that stuff, they can't function in the world on their own. They need leadership and guidance. You have to provide it to them. I mean, otherwise they'll just get run over by a car, or, if it's a high caliber breed, get euthanized. This is what happens all the time. It's the basis for most aggression issues. You get spoiled dogs, no structure or obedience, and they bite people in the face. So this whole episode, it's a twofold kind of thing, right? We have a teaching moment here about basic etiquette with dogs. We don't want to hug them. We don't want to kiss them. We don't want to just assume they're not going to bite us. But really, it's about, I guess, the suburban family archetype of wanting to get this, particular breed that's supposed to be docile and good with kids, and not providing that dog with any structure or obedience, and really not taking ownership of the dog. Okay? People need to embrace a radical form of ownership, of responsibility with their dogs. Whatever your dog does is on you. And if you can't handle that, you shouldn't own a dog. You need to embrace responsibility for everything your dog does. So if your dog, first of all, there should have been an adult present. I don't care if the girl's 18, she's a kid. Should have been an adult present with the kids and the dog. Always. I'm sorry, it's just common sense. And you need to, if you don't have the time to do that, either don't put the dog in the situation, don't put them in the deep end of the pool. If they can't swim, remove them from the situation, or really provide them with the impulse control and the obedience beforehand so that they won't make the mistake. But you have to be present, okay? And you have to be there. If you can't control the situation, you can't control your dog, one of the two things, remove your dog. I mean, this is just basic responsibility. And when you don't do it, you screw your dog over. Now, the last thing the last point I want to make, and this is relative to breeds. This is Elvis. He's my oldest dog, and he was my hardest dog. He was definitely the most aggressive and the most volatile. I love him. He's my all-time favorite, and we bonded through training, really. But I didn't have a choice. With a dog like Elvis, I had to step up. Okay, so I cut my teeth on a dog where if I didn't really just own the responsibility, something horrible would have happened. And I want you to see how big he is. Now, see how big his head is relative to mine? Here, buddy. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, I kissed him, but, he's my dog. Don't ever fucking kiss a dog, especially when you don't know. But his head is about the same size as mine. He's almost like a lion. And I'll show you his canines are just huge. I don't know if you can really see. Smile for the camera, buddy. Okay, so, this is a potentially lethal dog. And I didn't have a choice. I had to step up and own the responsibility. And the problem is that people get sporting dogs, Goldens, the Obamas, they had Portuguese water dogs, usually pretty docile. And then they just think they don't have to provide the dog with discipline. And there's never a problem until there is one. Pretend you got a dog like Elvis, all right? Just do that. I don't care if it's a Golden, so that the dog can get more freedom, live a happier life, and just so you don't end up with this kind of bullshit. Because really, the dog like him, you can see it, because he's scary looking. But they all have a little bit of that in them, because like I said, they're wolves. We have wolves in our homes, and we need to own the responsibility or just not own them. All right? So people need to embrace real ownership and responsibility with their pets. Otherwise, we're going to keep sending 20,000 people a day to the emergency room for bites and putting down. I think the number is over 4.5 million. I think it's probably like 8 million dogs we're euthanizing annually. We're doing something wrong, and I think this is a big part of why. So it's a teaching moment here, and people should learn from it and stop scapegoating the kid. Yeah, the kid's a fucking idiot. You shouldn't hug dogs, but this is on the Obamas. It really is. And they seem like nice people. So I'm not trying to pile on, but if your dog bites someone, it's on you. All right?